Welcome back.
We're back.
This one was a quick one for us, but let's see. We meet up with Maddie at the station and tell her about our plan, and she's instantly skeptical. To her credit, she does look skeptical.
You want to investigate the churches. What could they possibly have to do with Jessica and Gary, or the Bataille Repatriation Society?
That's what I said, but he can be very convincing.
Don't worry, Madeline. I have a different task in mind for you.
August, let's be clear. I'm still the one giving orders.
Yes, of course you are. Anyway, I would like you to find out everything you can about this building we're now in. City Hall? Exactly. You claimed that before the contingency it was just a simple one-story building that looks nothing like this, don't you? I don't just claim it, I know it. Yes, well, unusual claims require proof, and your claim is quite unusual. Why would Bataille have any government building this big? I don't know, but it seems much more plausible than one building turning into another.
Huh. So maybe there's more, like, conspiracy stuff going on around Bataille and, like... Huh. I like the way he's thinking here.
Yeah. My point is not that you were lying, but that I would like proof. Find something, anything, that shows what the prior City Hall building looked like. So, a picture? That would work, but even better would be the original plans. Building permits, anything at all would be good. There's a ton of stuff in the filing room, but it might take a long time to go through. Are you sure this is valuable use of my time, Erica?
The second we have anything more useful, I'll pull you out of there. Trust me. I'm giving August a short leash on some of these wilder ideas.
A leash? I didn't think you'd be into that sort of thing, Erica.
Why did I put myself through that? You know what? No, I walked into that one. Fine. That's on me.
Because the other options were more boring. Sorry, Madeline. It's funny because that's exactly the reason...
What?
That's exactly the reason why IRL we picked his route.
Yep, because it really is, isn't it? I not because they're boring. I don't want to say they were boring, but just because we were most interested in what his angle of investigation was. And already, I like the way he's thinking. This is paying dividends.
I'm gonna go start with the files. You two enjoy yourself, I guess. So, shall we head over to the Lucian Church and see if the pastor is at home?
Indeed we shall. Did we see the pastor last time? I don't recall if we talked to them. I don't think we did, because we only talked to the Batailles while we were in the church. No, yeah. Excuse me. The last time I was at the Lucian Church was during a sermon, so the environment is quite different. We arrive as Pastor Kimberly is cleaning up after a morning breakfast she holds every so often. The tables haven't put up, but there are a couple large trash bins nearby, and the room still smells vaguely of bacon.
Sheriff, if you're here for breakfast, I must say you are a bit late.
No, actually. She spots August behind me. Undoubtedly, she's heard something about him since the death of Principal Vincent. Everyone has, though they all seem to be missing or incomplete information.
I hope there's no trouble. Trouble? Oh, no, don't worry. We're just here to ask a few questions. Is this your new deputy? I know that he had some role helping you out with the terrible business with Liam Bataille, but this seems unconventional.
There's a lot of unconventional going around at the moment.
Speaking of which, we'd like to know a bit more about your faith. Oh, in that case, my doors are always open. Surely you both know as much. You were not so welcoming the last time I was here with questions. Well... And I have come up with more now that I have the sheriff by my side.
I can see her repress a wince.
How widespread do you believe your religion is? What kind of question is that? Does it exist only in Bataille? Well, of course not. It exists all over the world. What are you talking about?
Fascinating. Because I was definitely down on Team Colt for a moment there, right? But no, this is a complete revision of what you think about the world.
I'm a tenured professor of philosophy at a major American university, and I've never even heard of...
August, how about you let me ask the questions?
No, I'm used to it. He's one of the lost ones. It can't be helped. Far as we can tell, there's no rhyme or reason for who was chosen. Lost ones? You think I'm lost? When the towers rose, a great sadness beset so many of the people in this town. Maybe many of the people in the world. Who's to know? The lost ones forgot their faith in our Savior Lucius Christ, and they turned to someone else for false redemption, Jesus the Weak. We believe it's a test, though we do not know if we are the ones being tested or you.
That's a worrisome thing to say. We believe it's a test, but we don't know if it's for us or you. That's fucked, actually. What exactly is this great sadness?
I know some would say that you lost the light of our Lord Lucius, but I do not believe it is that. I believe he still shines on you, giving you the path to prosperity and success.
August is quiet for a moment, and then he turns to me.
We have to consider the possibility that it was our minds that were altered and not theirs, you know.
We do?
How would we know? This, of course, has incredibly disturbing implications. What else about our past might have changed when the towers rose?
Aren't we here to figure that out?
Yes, I need to think. Go ahead and ask your questions.
I look at Pastor Kimberly. I can see that, despite her calm demeanor, we are taxing her patience a bit. I'm sorry about August. He can be challenging in more ways than one.
I can.
For example, he won't let me finish my sentences before butting in.
Do you have any questions for me, Sheriff?
Interrupting August moo.
Wait, one more. Tell me what you think a Catholic is.
Kimberly thinks for a moment, as if this might be a tougher question than she expected. August, is this really necessary?
You said we were here to ask her about her faith.
I don't mean the questions, I mean the tone.
I believe there are a couple people who I've spoken to who have used that term to describe themselves. I don't think they go to the other church, though. From my brief chat with them, they seem to be following an older version of their religion's teachings, with certain similarities to the pan-cosmic Lucian Church.
Pan-cosmic? Why did you have to throw pan-cosmic in there?
So, two distinct timelines. I must admit, though, that your oldest continuous version of Christianity got the much better name.
I bet teenage August would have been very tempted to join the pan-cosmic church.
Well, Erica, I'm impressed at the very roundabout way you took to call me a nerd. Anyway, back to your questions. I need to think some more.
Let's start with we're going to go through all these, obviously,
Yeah.
so let's start with the Lost. So do you have any theories about why certain people were lost, as you put it?
Among those who regularly attended church in Bataille, it was almost entirely split by which church was attended. Those who practiced here were not lost. And those who practiced at the Anointed Lucian Church a few blocks north were. With everyone else, it was fairly random, far as I can tell.
Do you think that means anything?
If I were a prideful person, I would ascribe it to my leadership, but I'm not foolish enough to credit myself with this matter. Though I am prideful enough to mention it.
I figured that out. You said Anointed Lucian Church. What does that mean?
Well, right now you are in Bataille United Modal. There were, I suppose, Bataille First Anointed and Bataille Gatherers.
So these are multiple versions of Lucianist Christianity? What's the difference?
There are several, but the most significant to me is that I couldn't be an anointed pastor. They only allow man. Also, they typically teach that once you have truly accepted Lucius into your heart, you can never be without his light. Your failings can only ever be your own lack of will.
You don't believe that?
What God asks of us is devotion, hard work, and rigor. Failing to act on what he taught us through his only begotten Son is a fall from grace. But we can always pick ourselves back up again. No man is saved just once.
I see.
There were also Ascensionists who were similar to us, but tend to believe in more direct intervention by the divine. I have to say, with recent events, I can understand why. If I'm being honest, the difference between the churches rarely truly matters to most of the congregation. Many people drift between them. For most people, it's not about doctrine, but the scripture and community.
Were the people who drifted between churches lost?
It was almost entirely those people who were currently attending each one regularly.
At this, August chimes in.
Almost is not all, dear pastor, and for what we're looking for, it is very important that you used that word. Is there anyone who regularly attended your services then that was lost? Yes, actually, there was one young woman, Stacy Grenier. She was here almost every Sunday, and yet...
So following up with her could give us an indication if she believes things changed or not. August and I exchanged looks. Let me guess, you're going to tell me that there's no such thing as a coincidence.
No, of course not. The world is full of coincidence. Finding a connection that has a true meaning is what is truly rare.
You know what? I'm going to go get that letter back real quick.
Such as our connection.
Stop
Sherika.
it. Stop.
The connection that you and I share.
Stop. We do not share a connection, August. August, what is that? Nope, put it down. I live at Stacy's house, Pastor. I had no idea about this at all. As far as I know, she always went to First Baptist.
Looks like we'll need to have a chat with your roommate. Anything else from me?
Interesting. So what do you think about the other church here? What is your relationship with them?
It is somewhat fraught, I must admit. I remember when they taught some of the same lessons as us. Then, suddenly, they call what they teach Christianity, but that's not what it is. It's some strange heresy that I can't fully wrap my mind around. They teach of a different son of God, a poor carpenter who gave everything to those more needy than him. Yet I see the homes these pastors have. I remember the cars they used to drive. It made much more sense when they followed the example of our true Lord, who taught that to be able to give one must not ever want.
Wow. I mean, she's not wrong, is the thing about that. Like, damn, actually, though. Do you ever talk to Pastor Reese?
I used to, but I can't anymore. I just don't understand, and he's just as angry with me. By numbers, we're a minority here in Bataille. There are fewer of us, and yet they act like we're the threat to them. Quite frankly, I think it's best if we all just avoid each other.
How about your followers? How do they get along with the others in town?
The smart ones don't talk about it. I know our Lord wants us to spread his word, but we find the lost to be almost unreachable. I know this is a test of some sort. We must prosper despite adversity. We must will ourselves to be more, so that they will see our prosperity in his light and come to us.
Honestly, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more violence. I'm the sheriff, and,
There have been incidents.
There have?
I believe both sides are very good about keeping it quiet.
That's troubling, to say the least.
I'd rather not talk about that unless there's an incident you're investigating.
Reasonable. Well, now I'd like to investigate all of them.
Please, let's move on.
So before the contingency, everyone was a Lucian?
Everyone was a Christian. You don't go calling the other churches Jesusian, do you?
Fair.
The term would be Jesuit, and that's an entirely different thing.
August, not now. You're not helping.
Sorry, back to thinking.
Sorry, I mean to ask whether everyone believed in Lucius Christ.
Of course not. There were other religions.
Forgive me for what might sound like a dumb question, but those other religions?
Jewish, Buddhist, Muslim, just like you, remember it. We weren't living in some kind of other world, Sheriff, nor were you. There was one difference.
It's a pretty big difference.
We know that as much as anyone. Did anything at all, else change for you after the contingency? City Hall? Yeah, we have someone working on that. You have someone working on that. What does that even mean?
August, why did you have to phrase it like that? We're investigating it. Any other changes?
Just those awful towers. What else do you need to know?
That's it for now.
I don't mean to be rude, Sheriff, but why are you asking all these questions? As far as I can tell, we're not committing any crimes here.
I glance over at August. Are you done thinking, or do you have an answer for her?
Well, we're covering our bases. When we hit a home run, we want it to be a grand slam.
Let me guess, that was your one baseball metaphor.
You'd be surprised. That metaphor was good, wasn't it?
I mean, there was nothing technically wrong with it. You researched sports, didn't you?
Research is how you solve many problems. I'm sorry, did you think that we're somehow involved with the disappearance of those kids of Principal Vincent?
This might sound confusing, but bear with me. We're working on a very complicated theory of a case that may be connected to several of the mysteries following the contingency. The appearance of the Lucian Christian Church, or to you, the appearance of the First Baptist Church, is one of those mysteries.
You're right.
We are?
It does sound confusing. Now, if there's nothing else, I'd really like to get back to cleaning up.
Thank you for your time. We'll be on our way.
Are you going to be asking the folks over at First Baptist or whatever it's called the same questions? Similar questions at the least. While you're there, could you at least suggest they leave us alone? Some of my folks are scared to wear their cross out to the dollar store.
I'll say something to them.
Thank you.
I like how, like, in all of that, there's the point of, like, yeah, no, they couldn't be teaching the right thing, because if that's true, then all their leaders are hypocrites. I'm like, shit, okay, yeah, never mind. I guess hand me the Kool-Aid then. Once we return to City Hall, August goes to my desk and looks around.
So then, where's your lovely brown journal?
My what?
You know, the leather book I watched you jot notes in every day for 6 months.
Oh, well, that's, personal?
Really? I assumed you used it for investigation logs. You'd always write in it after talking to a witness or whatnot.
Didn't we already have this conversation? I used it to process my thoughts. I filter out my first impressions, assumptions, and that sort of thing.
Oh, so it's really more like a diary. Now I'm even more intrigued.
No! August. He reaches for the drawer on my desk where I keep the leather journal. I grab his wrist, stopping it before he can open the drawer.
Shouldn't we write down our thoughts on the Lucian Church?
This journal is for me. Official investigation reports go in the filing cabinet.
Official reports? And who are those for? Mayor Ward?
If he ever wished to read them, then yes.
But he doesn't because he's useless.
You're... His arm relaxes in my grasp, but I continue to hold his wrist, afraid he'll reach for my journal again.
No matter, I was excited to get a peek at your mysterious journal, but I don't want to ruin the sweetness of today's partnership with a bitter squabble.
The thing is, he's right, because...
He is absolutely right. What's in that journal?
Right, because... if we have somehow been compromised and don't know it, presumably we'd be able to find out by looking back through our own handwriting and our own thoughts.
Yep. He's also right that writing down what we just found is a smart idea, because if there are things going around altering people's minds, who's to say we won't just forget the things we just learned?
Exactly.
Or have them replaced
He
with
is
something else.
On point about that. God, I hate this guy so much. Sweetness.
Yes, I think we work quite well together, don't you? Our variant modes of questioning compose a certain harmony. It's kind of like good cop, bad cop, but with more of an analytic synthetic distinction.
You don't know what half those words mean.
But you agree with me, don't you? We make a good team.
Well, if we're trying to please him to get... Yeah.
We also distressingly do.
Agree with him. Your line of questioning can be tactless, but I admit it can also be useful.
And your line of questioning can be inane, but it does get people talking.
I try to think of a retort, but I struggle. We haven't learned much yet.
But we unearthed some new leads, didn't we? Such as your roommate, Stacy. I call that a success.
Despite myself, a smile pulls at my mouth. He shifts his hand slightly, releasing his wrist from my grip, and then clutching my hand with a warm handshake.
Nice job today, partner.
You too. I feel heat spreading to my cheeks. I quickly pull my hand away from his and turn away. Are you two fucking done over there? Someone scoffs and shuffles around. Both August and I turn at the same time to see Liam turning over in his cell.
What was that, Liam? You have something to add.
I have nothing to say to you, Heartbreaker. August turns to me with a scowl.
Are we just going to let him listen in on every conversation we have here?
You listened to every conversation I had here for months.
Yes, but I had useful reflections to offer.
Your reflections drove me crazy.
Nope, you liked it.
Nope, that's it. It's time for the headbutt. You were warned. Hut.
Finally.
Why? Why? His smug smile flips back to a scowl as he turns to the current prisoner.
Liam, on the other hand, is a blood-sucking Bataille. We shouldn't share any information with him.
Liam sits up with a growl. You don't hate me because I'm a Bataille or even because I'm a vampire. You hate me because you're the Heartbreaker and you can't stand being copied. August goes very, very still. His expression becomes like stone, completely unreadable. This look scares me more than when he's obviously scheming something. After a long, Uncomfortable silence.
Well, my mood's ruined. I think I'll go home and write in my own leather journal.
You have one too?
Not physically, but I keep one in my mind palace.
But wouldn't that be just as fallible? If what he suspects is... He winks and taps his temple.
I keep it right near the twister board.
I...
And the novelty fishnet stocking lamp.
Okay, so... I've
And
got
the exercise bicycle.
all of the questions, actually. Just... Liam scoffs loudly, then takes a point of loudly retreating to his cot.
The palace is fully stocked if you'd ever like to come over.
I don't think that's how that works.
Besides, I refuse to suffer that killer's presence any longer than necessary. Care to join me, Erica?
No, I'll wrap up here. We'll regroup in the morning.
Very well.
With a forced smile, August turns and leaves. I take a deep breath, trying to clear my head of the tension between August and Liam. I need to process my thoughts about the church while they're still fresh. I pull up my brown journal and start writing. Good. Okay, so we still did write all that down. Okay. I don't care if we show it to him right now as long as we got it written down, right?
Yep.
And if it's in our hand, all the better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm liking where this is going so much. Come on now. I spent a longer time writing than I intended. The truth is I've been curious about the discrepancies between the church timelines for a while now. I just didn't think it was worth investigating until August convinced me. I'm on my way out of City Hall when a dark form materializes suddenly beside me.
All alone tonight.
How? Do you know warp magic? No, they're just really fast, right? My heart pounds and my stomach burns with adrenaline, but it's too late to draw my gun. The glint in Charlotte's eyes suggests she can sense my fright.
Oh, don't worry, Sheriff. I come in peace.
Remember when we thought she was going to be one of the options? But no, she had to be the villainess. There always has to be the villainess, right? I just stare at her and wait, unable to bury my fear. Remember how many times Liam warned me that Charlotte would kill me when I arrested him?
Oh dear, there's far too much tension in the air. Let's just clear some of that up, shall we? You know what I am now. You understand the nature of my whole family, but you aren't going to tell anyone, because that would throw this poor little town into further chaos. I could kill you any time I'd like, but I won't, because you're a good sheriff and you amuse me. So let's just hold a normal conversation like friendly adults, shall we?
What do you want, Charlotte?
So, let's just hold a normal
I accidentally hit the go back button. I'm so sorry.
I thought she was just repeating herself, which would be really funny.
That would be in character for her too, wouldn't it?
Actually, I was hoping to chat with your friend August. Aren't you two working together now?
How did you... Never mind. Yes, but he already went home.
Oh, well, maybe it's better I talk to you about this anyway.
What do you want to talk about?
The Heartbreaker, the serial killer who murdered 7 people and cut out their hearts. He's August Flynn, yes?
Well, allegedly.
Oh, is that your line now? When I first asked about August, you were quite insistent that he was a cold-blooded killer.
I believe he was the Heartbreaker killer, yes. But he never got convicted in a court of law. The contingency happened before his trial.
Fine, fine. So what got him arrested? What evidence tied August Flynn to the murders?
I've been curious about this for a long while. Like, what was it, like, because he was arrested for it, right? So that means there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
My tongue feels numb for a moment. Why is it so hard for me to talk about this all of a sudden?
Oh, I see. You'd like to forget about his past now that he's useful to you.
No, I don't see why I should... I just don't see why I should tell you any of this. After all, when I gave Liam details about the Heartbreaker, he used that information to murder someone and frame August.
Yes, well, that card has been played. Do you actually think I'd play it again?
I don't know, but I doubt your intentions are honorable.
Please, Sheriff, I'm asking you about the Heartbreaker as a concerned, and perhaps curious, citizen. The sheriff has teamed up with a man accused of serial murder. Don't I have a right to know more about his past?
Fuck, I hate it when you're right.
So, let's review. I already know that the Heartbreaker cuts out his victims' hearts. Duh. Did he do this while they were dead or alive?
Usually, he removed it post-mortem.
Usually.
In a couple of cases, the time of death was unclear.
Was there anything else different about those victims? Maybe August hated them more than the others.
I don't recall the details right now, but you shouldn't make assumptions like that.
You call them assumptions. I call them gut instincts. Maybe I understand the Heartbreaker better than you do, darling, and that's why you should tell me more. What else can you tell me about the Heartbreaker? Anything, everything. I'm dying to hear it all.
Do we tell her everything? I don't see any, because like it also helps us, the player, learn more about it. So I think we should, and like she said, she's played that card already.
Yep.
Even if she wanted to now, I don't think we have reason to believe August is going to kill again.
Mm-hmm.
But unless our summation of what his motivations are wildly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The Heartbreaker seemed to put special care in where he displayed his victims, or more specifically, where they would be discovered. It was something that seemed off about Principal Vincent's murder. Placing a principal in the school gym just seemed too obvious for the Heartbreaker. I don't mention the fact that August himself pointed this out to me.
So where did he usually display them?
Well, it was always different. I think back to what else August told me in the gym. I was familiar with the Heartbreaker murders previously, but I hadn't thought much about the placement until August brought it up. One woman was displayed in another man's living room. He lived alone and came home one day to an awful discovery. Another was placed in a field in the dead of winter, tended by a single caretaker. The field was 100 miles from the victim's home.
So, I think the significance is not where, but who discovers the bodies. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but I always start with the facts before adding speculation.
Oh, this is so very interesting, just delightful. What else can you tell me about him?
Stop giving information. The game's like, do you want to keep doing this? You sure, bucko? You know what? We dropped a save at the beginning of August. If this fucks things up somehow, we can redo it. But for now, I don't think this game has been the thing to lock us out of some things by fucking up decisions, unless it's a relationship thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we have anything to lose or gain here.
Yeah.
But suppose you probably want to know exactly who the Heartbreaker killed.
Of course, I'm sure he chose his victims carefully.
Unfortunately, there was no real profile for his victims. There were 4 men and 3 women. The youngest was 32, the oldest was 70. 5 victims were white, 1 was black, 1 was Japanese. They all lived in different states. Honestly, if he hadn't displayed the victims so uniquely, we never would have known it was the work of the same killer.
They had to have something in common. He didn't pick completely random people, did he?
I didn't really investigate his case. He was never sloppy enough to kill in his own backyard in St. Louis. The official files never came across my desk. All I have is gossip. The closest thing they could come to a constant between all the victims was that they were, I guess the phrase would be, well connected.
Oh, so powerful people. Should I be worried now that he's free and working with you?
Not at all. It wasn't power or wealth. Though none of the victims were poor. It's more like this. Let's just say they were all people who could fill a chapel at their funeral, but never made the national news. That's such a great way of putting that, too. That is that kind of soft power that you don't hear much in the headlines, but people also really hate to have exposed, right? Yep.
Are you saying no one would come to my funeral?
You live alone with your brothers and only come into town for church services and to harass me. No, I do not think there would be a lot of mourners.
Well, quality is more important than quantity.
If you say so.
Anything else of note?
The strangest thing, and the thing no one has ever been able to figure out, is the drawings that the Heartbreaker makes around his victims.
Drawings? Like little stick figures?
No, more like magic circles. Like... Wait, no, more like symbols. They look like writing, but they aren't written in a language or even an alphabet that has ever been identified. That's actually how I ended up first hearing about the case. The Bureau passed around a memo asking basically every agent whether they recognized the symbols. Not a single person responded in the affirmative. Honestly, when your brother tried to fake a Heartbreaker murder, it should have been painfully clear when he used ancient Greek. Then again, it took August to point it out, so...
A completely unfamiliar language. Sounds fascinating. Maybe I can help. Do you have any pictures of it?
You think you might know a language that is completely unfamiliar to literally everyone at the FBI?
I don't know. I'm very worldly.
Well, no, there are no pictures. I don't have anything related to the Heartbreaker here in Bataille.
Well, except for the man himself.
Except for the man himself. The only reason August and I are here is because of a prisoner transport. They weren't exactly carrying the case files along with him.
Ah, well, maybe one of these days I'll get him to draw those symbols so I can have a look-see.
What do we think those symbols are? And do we even believe that if we hadn't seen like a scene of all that stuff happening beforehand, how much would we trust our knowledge about what happened before?
I don't know.
Right? Good luck with that, Charlotte.
Any more information you can share?
I think I've given you enough grisly details.
Actually, you still haven't answered my very first question. How did August get caught?
Yeah, I'm still curious about that. I don't know all the specifics. I wasn't involved in the investigation directly. But I know the police connected August Flynn's location to all 7 murders. August was present at each location when a murder occurred, usually giving guest lectures at nearby colleges.
I see, but something must have made the police notice him before they researched his travel records. How did he give himself away?
I like the color of her eyes.
Yeah.
I searched my memory. I saw an internal report about August shortly after his arrest. Why is it so hard for me to conjure those memories now? Has my friendship with him made me forget his past so completely? I remember something about a letter. August wrote a letter. To the last murder, Paul Blanchard. The news was on fire talking about the Heartbreaker. The news painted it as another tragedy in a string of heinous crimes that had to be stopped. Professor Flynn wrote to the police department saying that he had met Paul Blanchard during his visit to Denver. He wrote that he'd heard of troubling reports connecting Paul Blanchard to the sale of illegal drugs in the area and felt it was his duty to report it in light of Blanchard's death.
Illegal drugs. Ha ha ha!
This set Charlotte giggling for quite some time.
Well, isn't that just interesting? Why do you think August wrote a letter like that?
I don't know. Perhaps he wanted to mislead them?
Maybe, or he actually wanted the police to investigate Blanchard. Maybe he was angry that the news focused more on the heartbreaker than the actual victim. Well, Sheriff, you've been most helpful. Thank you so much for enlightening me.
What are you scheming, Charlotte?
Why must I be scheming? Perhaps I'm just worried that there's a serial killer on the loose.
You're the one who set him free.
Yes, well, I didn't exactly expect him to join law enforcement. You're the one who made that happen. Enjoy your bloody partnership, Sheriff.
And just like that, she vanishes into the night. Meanwhile, the harrowing memories of the Heartbreaker's murders linger in my mind, casting a dark shadow over the day's events. I like your villainous laugh. You're getting very good at that. Oh, that's a delight. That's a delight. There are few joys in the world more that are sweeter than a good villainous chuckle. Come on, game. I know you can do it. I don't sleep well that night. Perhaps going over the details of the Heartbreaker murders with Charlotte wasn't the best idea now that I'm working with August. I thought I could compartmentalize who he was before the contingency and make use of his intelligence during this crisis. But I feel myself growing closer to him. I like August, but I ought to feel disgust. The next morning, I jump when I hear a knock on the door. I know it's August, and that knowledge sends adrenaline through my stomach.
I'll get it.
No, you won't. You'll stay right there in the kitchen, but not in a... You know what I mean.
Boy, you must be hungry this morning.
Yeah, something like that. I don't put it off any longer. I head to the door and open it up. August is standing there, a slight smirk on his face. Can't believe that yesterday I might have thought it was charming.
Good morning, Erica. I trust you stuck to the plan and didn't mention any of this to your roommate yet.
Of course not. I've run an investigation before, August.
Oh my, you seem especially feisty this morning. I was just making sure.
Let's just get this over with.
Are you going to invite me in?
Do I need to? August raises his eyebrows for a moment, but then breaks out in a grin.
Oh, how clever. You're testing to make sure I'm not a vampire. That is excellent thinking.
I wasn't, but I might as well let him keep believing my cold response had a purpose.
These days, I suppose neither of us can be too sure.
He takes a deep breath, straightens his back, and steps inside. The second he crosses the threshold, his body begins to twitch.
Oh no, I'm burning up. My skin is on fire.
I gasp, though I think I know what's coming. He almost immediately calms and recomposes himself.
Just kidding. You should have seen the look on your face.
I know you were faking, August.
I'm not so sure about that, Erica.
Let's just get this over with. August and I head toward the kitchen where Stacy is finishing up breakfast.
Who was that, Erica? I heard you.
She turns around and her words catch in her throat.
Oh, it's that man from the police station. You said.
Stacy, this is August Flynn. He is helping me with an investigation temporarily.
Temporarily? I'm wounded, Erica. You must know that I plan to do such a tremendous job that you'll have no choice but to take me on full time.
No, I didn't know we were going to have guests. I would have made more eggs and pancakes, and,
No need to worry about me. I've been devouring everything in sight ever since I got out of jail, so I could use help maintaining my slender figure.
Oh, you sure? You could have my breakfast and I could make some more. I don't have to be at the dollar store for another couple hours.
Well, if you really insist.
No, thank you, Stacy, but this isn't really appropriate.
Appropriate? Why is that? Can I not socialize with your family, Erica?
Family?
Household, whatever?
You're not making any of this easy, August.
Nothing worthwhile is easy.
I let out an audible groan. I don't even try to hide it. I think this gets the point across to August that I'm not in the mood for bantering. He quiets up immediately. Stacy, we'd like to actually ask you a few questions.
Me? Really? Did I do something wrong?
No, of course not. It's just... I feel bad even putting Stacy through this. Do I really think we're going to learn something from her that'll lead to Gary and Jessica? August, do you want to explain it?
What is the best way to put this? We spoke with Pastor Kimberly at the church south of City Hall. You know her?
Yeah, I know her. Erica, are you finally looking into the weird stuff they get up to there?
What kind of weird stuff are you talking about? Stacy looks at me as if I've lost my mind.
What kind of weird stuff? They worship the devil.
They do?
Yeah, what else could it be?
Technically, it may be correct to say they worship an antichrist.
See, he agrees with me.
That's not necessarily a good thing. What do you mean by Antichrist, August?
The prefix anti does not necessarily mean opposite, but can also mean opposing. Throughout the history of the church, there have been people who have stood in opposition to the lawful pope and attempted to occupy the position, often with significant support. These were called anti-popes by those supporting the supposedly genuine article. This Lucius fellow does seem to be another person attempting to occupy the position of Christ.
Don't worry about what he's saying, Stacy. He's just trying to sound smart. Try to put aside what you think of Kimberly's church. I want to ask you about a claim she made that you used to be one of her congregation.
Well, yeah, back when it was Bataille United Methodist, but then...
She looks away. Her hands fidget with each other.
But after the contingency, the Bibles changed. What else?
The physical Bibles changed as well. That's interesting. I glare pointedly at August. Let's listen to her version of the story before we jump to conclusions, please.
Well, he's right. The Sunday after the contingency, I showed up and everything was different. At first, I just thought it was a strange sermon. You know, after everything we'd been through, I imagined that the pastor didn't have much time to get a writing in. But then I picked up the hymn book. I didn't recognize any of the songs. They were all about some other god. I was terrified. I didn't want to just get up and go. I looked around and no one else seemed as concerned as me, so I just stayed. I stayed through the whole sermon and prayed that this was just some kind of misunderstanding.
And I suppose it wasn't, since you've never been back.
Afterwards, I tried to talk to Pastor Kimberly. I tried to figure out what was going on. She just made things more confusing. She said I'd never had questions like this, that I'd always been a friend of Lucius. She asked me why none of the other members were acting strange if I was wrong. This just made me even more scared, so I ran. I just ran out of the church and never looked back.
Did Pastor Kimberly ever try to talk to you about this again?
A couple of times I saw her around town. She asked me how I was doing. She asked me why I left, and I couldn't just explain myself. How could I even begin?
Think harder. That's how you begin. Don't stop thinking.
What the fuck does that even mean, August?
Look, she's an anomaly. Her experience of the church split is our best chance to understand what happened. So she needs to explain it better. Stacy, before that day, had you ever even heard the name Lucius Christ before?
I don't think so.
Are you certain? This is critical, Stacy.
She's doing the best she can, okay, August?
I thought you wanted me to be the bad cop.
I don't want you to be any sort of cop.
Well, then why did you choose to work with me?
I don't fucking know anymore. Whoops. Stacy's looking away, fidgeting again. Her mind seems to be somewhere else entirely. I'm sorry, Stacy. I didn't mean to put pressure on you. When she next looks over, she stares at August.
What did you mean by that? How am I an anomaly?
I'll explain a bit more if Erica will permit me. As far as we can tell, there is precisely one member of Pastor Kimberly's congregation who did not instantly turn to Lucian Christianity on the day of the contingency. That's you.
Lucian Christianity? That's blasphemy, August Flynn, to even compare the two.
No matter what you think, all those people believe you are the ones committing blasphemy. Every single person who went to that church but you. That's why I need you to tell me what makes you different.
The night of the contingency, the moment the towers rose up, I was in Bataille United Methodist Church praying.
Oh.
When it happened, the whole ground shook and it rumbled like an earthquake, but something else happened too. I had some sort of vision. It was probably meaningless, it made no sense, but it was terrible. I saw demons, and one demon in particular who rose up and tried to join the devil, Lucius. That's the feeling I got anyway. It was hard to explain. There was this big slug-like creature with tentacles and lots of eyes, and it called itself a lot of things. I think it was Satan, but Lucius merged with it.
What the fuck?
Anyway, when it was over and I came back to my body, my chest was burning. I was wearing a silver necklace with Jesus' cross on it. It was burning hot and glowing red. I looked down and saw that the cross had changed. The sides of the cross were proportional and tilted diagonally like an X. I ran out of the church and then I saw the towers. After that, well, you know the rest.
This is incredible, Stacy. You were in the church when it transformed. Truly remarkable.
So being in the church when it transformed meant she saw a vision of what, presumably of something.
Yeah.
And also, even though the physical aspects still changed, her mind was unaffected by it. Why would that be? Why was she in there in the middle of the night anyway?
Yeah, huh?
Was it because she was the only...
Tell me more about your vision of Lucius. You said this large creature had...
The visions were mostly nonsense. I still don't know if it meant anything. All I know is that it felt terrible.
Where's the necklace that changed into an X? Do you still have it?
No, when I realized that the whole church had fallen under the devil's influence, I threw the necklace into the river.
Which part of the river?
Near the south end of the bridge.
Well, even if the vision was nonsense, I'd like to learn more. You said the satanic creature had many names. What other names did it have?
I don't.
I noticed that Stacy is trembling, chewing her lips until they turn red. That's enough, August.
Enough. This is the closest we've come to learning more about Lucius, and...
That's enough!
Fine, we can always return to Miss Grenier if needed. It's not like any of us is going anywhere.
August storms out and slams the door. An awkward silence follows his absence.
Erica, are you sure you're okay? You don't seem to like working with that man.
I still think he's probably the one who can help me solve all of this. Yesterday, though, I was reminded about who he was, and I can't stop thinking about his crimes.
Oh, I shudder to think of that, too, but everyone can be saved, Erica. Everyone deserves a second chance.
Even a murderer?
Even a murderer.
You wouldn't say that if you knew one of his victims.
I'd like to think I still would. That's what it means to forgive someone. I have a feeling about that man, Erica. If anyone can find out more about Lucius and how to stop him, I think you and August are the best ones to do it.
Thank you. I hope you're right. I'll be back later. I'll tell you what we find.
You don't have to tell me anything. Please don't involve me any more than necessary. I don't want to think about those horrible demons ever again if I can help it.
Understood. So what does that mean? What does all this mean? What?
So is this a cosmic horror scenario now, or an alien abduction scenario?
There has to be some kind of Yeah, I'm thinking this has to be some kind of cosmic horror or... Yeah, some kind of unknowable entity thing. Especially if stuff like that is... Because towers shooting up out of the ground, there is at least a way you could explain that mechanically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unlikely, yes, but you could. Everything suddenly changing in an instant. I don't know how you explain that. I don't think you do. Outside the house, I find August waiting for me. He's looking around, almost like he's casing my house. Do you see something interesting?
The air is just so still. Is it the lack of animals? You see so few squirrels and birds.
I keep forgetting that you've been locked up this whole time. Yeah, it does seem like there's significantly less wildlife than there used to be. If I'm being honest, I don't know if that's because it's a small town or because of the contingency.
Or because the soil is laced with lead.
Also a possibility.
What did you need to talk with her about alone?
She said to give you a second chance.
A second chance? Did I already ruin the first?
You killed several people, August.
Firstly, no I didn't. Secondly, you thought the same thing yesterday. What changed?
I was just reminded, that's all.
Huh. Well, I'm not going to get into arguing with your religious friend about whether or not people deserve second chances. I just ask you to take this first chance a bit more seriously.
Well, I'll see what I can do.
Shall we be on our way to First Baptist?
Actually, I should go by the precinct first, check on Maddie and everything else.
While you're doing that, perhaps I'll go for a swim.
What?
The Bataille River is quite stagnant as rivers go. There's a chance Stacy's necklace is still there, somewhere.
I don't know what we would learn from a piece of jewelry.
And transformed from a Christian cross into a Lucian X. Surely that's significant. Look, you don't have to search with me, but I'd like to try. Do you know where I might find a metal detector?
I think there's one at the precinct.
Perfect.
I guess we're road tripping again. Erica, why isn't it working? Pulls it up out of the riverbed. August, you don't... Ah! Man, yeah, I don't have any other explanation for it aside from something inexplicable happening at this moment. We split up as discussed. I lent August the metal detector from the precinct, and I helped Maddie tend to some basic chores at the office. I promised to follow up on a complaint about Ben O'Doyle being rowdy at the diner again. Several hours later, I make my way to the Bataille River near the bridge to check on him. I have to walk through about a half-mile south of the bridge before I see him. When I get close enough to see his face and body clearly, my breath catches in my throat. Yes, drink it up. His torso is bare. His pants are so wet they cling close to his body, leaving little to the imagination. A mixture of water and sweat glistens from his face and back. His head and shoulders sag with exhaustion. I wonder if this is the first break he's taken since starting his search. When he notices me staring at him, though, he perks up slightly. A soft pink hue flushes his cheeks.
Oh, hello, Sherika.
Hello. How goes your search for the necklace?
Swimmingly.
Okay, fine. That was actually funny. Shirtless August Sprite. Shirtless August Sprite. He stands up and stretches, flexing his muscles in the process. He seems to know what effect he's having on me, and he's amused by it. So, you found it?
No, alas, I have not. But I have found 4 other necklaces, 20 coins, some rings, and a fair amount of indiscriminate junk.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Don't be. I'm enjoying this immensely.
As he talks, he walks toward me, slowly. Now he stands right next to me, so close I can smell the river on his body. He shakes his head and I feel the water droplets sprinkle onto my skin.
Erica, you look hot. Maybe you'd care to join me in the water?
I like how he's also close enough that you can't see his pants, even though I see what you're doing, game. I see what you're doing. Do we want to
Swim
time?
date.
Yeah, we're going for the
What
full.
could go wrong?
We're going for the full cheesecake, right? I suppose I could help you search.
Really?
He seems genuinely surprised by my response, but then he smiles and moves in closer. His hand brushes lightly against the arm of my jacket.
You should probably take this off. Wouldn't want it to get wet.
Oh, yeah, right. Self-consciously, I start to unbutton my jacket. He moves even closer, his hands grabbing the sides.
Let me help you with that.
I wonder why on earth I agreed to this as he pulls off my jacket. I don't feel like swimming. I don't even want to help him on this stupid search. But as my arms are bared to the sunlight, my skin brushes briefly against his, and warmth flows through my whole body. Somehow I'm so close to him that my undershirt brushes against his torso. I find myself thinking, I should pull back, yet leaning even closer. His hands move up, sliding against my arms and then my face. I feel my heart throbbing against my ribs.
You look good like this.
I feel his breath against my skin, and I struggle to breathe. Thanks, so do you. With great effort, I finally pull myself away from him. Tell me how to help. Which areas have you already searched?
Oh, all of them. We would need to go further down the river to progress.
Really? How far?
I don't know. To be honest, I had quite given up.
What? I thought you wanted me to help.
I asked if you wanted to swim. I'm quite done searching for the moment.
August, I don't have time for... Ah!
Why not? You could bring the metal detector if you really need an excuse to go swimming. As for me, I'm just going to float on my back.
Damn it, August, you're playing games with me again.
Am I?
Angrily, I retrieve my jacket from the ground and pull it back on. We have work to do, and I'm not going to waste hours paddling uselessly in the water.
It's not a waste if you're having fun.
Forget it.
I like how in this particular pose, at this distance, his fingers look like they're coming out of our head like antlers.
He's giving us the bunny ears. I'm going to the First Baptist Church next. Hopefully Pastor Jeremy Reese hasn't gone home yet.
May I come along?
If you put a shirt on, you're soaking wet.
So, I'll dry eventually.
Ugh, yes, you can come along, but please don't badger Pastor Reese.
I didn't realize I was badgering anyone, but very well. I'll try to act less like a badger and more like a harmless beaver.
What?
Let's just get going, please. You caught me by surprise. These things take setup.
What? Oh.
Anyway, you should lead the way. I don't know where anything is in this damn town.
Y'all appreciating the hot serial killer cheesecake? Or is it beefcake? It's a cake of some variety. I admit I'm not up on my terms here. I don't have anything to say during this loading screen. I'm just going to stay really quiet and silent and make it very awkward for everyone.
That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fine if we weren't doing like a live show on YouTube or something, you know? Bataille First Baptist casts a different impression than the Lucian church we visited yesterday. In some ways, it is more muted and austere. In others, I can't help but think about what Pastor Kimberly said yesterday about how the other churches took in more money, and yet none of it was necessarily used for anything but enriching the leaders. There was no breakfast for the congregation this morning. In fact, we walk into a completely empty chapel and head towards the office at the back to try to speak with the pastor. If I can recall, his name is Jeremy Reese. I barely ever have the chance to speak with him, mostly because the church hasn't been connected to any crimes over the past 6 months. We're almost to the door when Pastor Reese opens it up.
Ah, Sheriff Wright. I must say I'm rather disappointed that this is the first time you've stepped foot in this church since you arrived, but I am glad you're here now.
You are?
Yes, of course.
I'll be honest, there aren't a lot of people in this town that are happy when I come around.
Well, I just happen to want to talk to you and the mayor about something, and I know I'll see him on Sunday.
Is this a personal matter or something involving my office?
Your office, of course, Sheriff. Though if you'd ever like any counseling in this trying world, you know that my door is always open. This is a waste of time. Ask about the Lucians.
I'm still Sheriff, August. I have other duties than just this one case. Feel free to go off and do your own thing if you have a problem with that.
You are in quite a mood today, Erica.
I glare at him and turn my attention back to Pastor Reese. I have some questions for you too, but if there's another matter... But if there's another matter, I'd like to hear it out.
Well, Sheriff, as you know, this has been a troubling time for Bataille.
That is one way to put it, yes.
Discovering that one of the Bataille family is a murderer has put quite the mental strain on many of us, and I was thinking that maybe we could organize some kind of response unit.
A response unit? What do you mean?
Of course, I'm happy to work with my congregation when I have time, but it has become quite a strain, and that is without even talking about those who, like yourself, don't avail yourself.
Where are you going with this?
I'd like to work with you and the mayor to set up an official Bataille counseling and life planning service. We could assist with isolation, depression, and of course the severe alcohol and painkiller problems that are plaguing this town. I have several members of the congregation eager to perform counseling services, but without the authority of your city and your office, I have no way of directing troubled citizens to them. You could ask. What was that, young man? Sounds like you want Erica to make people go to these very likely unqualified counselors. Instead, maybe you should ask if people want the help. That's the thing, Sheriff. People don't know they want this kind of help. They think they're alone or that no one can pluck them out of their despair. Maybe some of us prefer the despair.
August, stop talking about the pears. Reese ignores August and looks toward me again.
Who is this man? I don't think I've seen him around town before. He doesn't seem to like me. I'm August Flynn, and I was in jail up until a few days ago. Sheriff Wright, you're going around with the other suspect in Principal Vincent's murder.
It's a long story, and honestly, I don't want to get into it. He's a college professor who is consulting with me on a case. If I'm being honest, Pastor, I share his concerns about your plans. I'm not sure how I feel about what you're suggesting.
What I'm suggesting is something a bit more effective than throwing junks in a jail cell for a day and hoping that they learn their lesson. At the very least, let me set up a branch of Alcoholics Anonymous for the poor folks who think they can just drink their way out of this.
I'm not stopping you.
No, but you could direct them my way. You could use your office to let me help them. What happens when someone doesn't go to counseling when Erica orders it? Throw them in a jail cell and hope they learn that lesson instead? That is what I would like to discuss with everyone. I'm sure we can come up with something.
I'm curious, Pastor, with everything else that has happened to this town, the towers, and then the death of the entire police department, for example, why is it that Principal Vincent's murder prompted this?
Not Vincent's murder, but the fact that one of the Batailles was the one who did it. This is how you phrased it, isn't it, Pastor?
Well, yes, the fact that a Bataille committed the murder deeply disturbs our community.
Don't the Batailles worship at the Lucian Church?
True, but even so, the Batailles are pillars of this entire town. One fallen pillar shakes all of us.
I thought God was supposed to be your foundation or something like that.
We're still only human, fragile sinners in need of Christ's love. So many tragedies in a row have led to a public health crisis. If anything, we should have done this sooner.
I have a question for you, Pastor.
He always has questions.
Liam Bataille was a significant donor to your church, wasn't he? Now, this is interesting, as I thought that all three Batailles were members of the other church.
What? Where did he get that from? How does he know that? Or is he bluffing?
He's bluffing.
Where are you getting this, August? August fixes his stare at Pastor Reese, who has gone surprisingly silent. He begins to circle him as if cornering his prey. The look in his eyes is deeply unsettling, but I need to hear what he has to say.
It took a minute to figure what you were getting at, but it all makes sense now. Why would Liam's imprisonment be the part that stands out to you? And why would you suddenly have a plan to direct more people to your church? That's the point, isn't it? Your counselors are all members of your church, which means they will undoubtedly recruit people. They will give them ideas that bring them in, and with that, more donations. Clearly, you're trying to make up for a sudden deficit. The funny thing about all this is that one of these days, people in this town are going to realize that money doesn't really mean anything anymore here.
So how much of that was right?
Well,
enough of it.
The people still need the support, Sheriff. Even if I do believe there will be some benefit to my church, that is also a benefit for the people of Bataille.
I'm so curious if you actually believe that or not. But it is unimportant. You might as well agree to hear him out, Erica, and you can pass along this information to the mayor.
I will be sure to. And now we have some questions for you, Pastor.
You and this man are not making me feel like helping you, Sheriff.
I thought you wanted us to work together. If you cooperate with our investigation, maybe I will take some of your advice on setting up a counseling service from the city.
You don't have to do that, Erica.
What? You're the one who wanted to ask him about the Lucian Church. August motions for me to step away from Pastor Reese.
We have what we came for. I know what to do next.
You do?
Yes, let's be rid of this awful man.
You don't mean...
I mean, we should just leave. He's given us our lead, Liam Bataille. Why was he supporting this church? Perhaps he's not a Lucian.
He was at the other church last week.
He's a deceptive young man. Or at least he looks young. I suppose knowing what we do...
You really don't think we need anything else from Pastor Reese?
No, and his answers can't be trusted anyway. Don't give him what he wants just to get unreliable information. Is everything okay over there?
Yes, we're fine. I think we're done here.
You really don't need anything else?
I suppose not. I'll talk with Mayor Ward about your proposal.
All I ask is that you do what is best for Bataille.
That's what I'm trying to do. August doesn't say anything else to Reese or me as he leads us outside. I've seen him snap in anger before, but I can tell this time it's different. He's seething inside, but he's not mad. Not like he usually gets. Instead, it's almost like he's excited. If you say the game is afoot, August, I will put my foot in your face, probably. Look at him fucking casting fireball at us.
Magic missile, lightning bolt, sleep.
You sound so unhappy when you play D&D, August. What's up? We can play something else if you want to. No, it's just that when you said you were into role-playing, I got the wrong idea. No love for that one? I thought it was good, but all right, fine.
Erica was ready to put on her robe and wizard hat, whereas August was ready to put on his robe and wizard hat.
What has gotten into you, August? You've been carrying invisible oranges all day long.
What has gotten into me? I could ask you the same thing. This is going wonderfully, and you've been in a sour mood all day.
I wouldn't say this is going wonderfully, August. We still don't know anything more about Jessica or Gary or the Bataille Repatriation Society.
Are you sure about that?
Yes! I don't think the financial situation at the Bataille First Baptist Church is particularly relevant to our investigation.
But it is. If Liam Bataille was a significant donor, it means perhaps that he or all of the Batailles know more about the odd church switch than they're letting on.
That still doesn't... You know what? Fine! Let's ask Liam Bataille about his donations.
I told you that you were being snippy. Aren't you having fun? Isn't this all so fascinating?
I don't know. I suppose we'll follow up on this, but only because we haven't turned up any other leads. Anyone ever told you how frustrating you are? Have I said that to you yet today?
Always.
I try to get in at least 4 or 5 times. Gotta get my reps in. August and I part ways for the night to ruminate over what we've learned so far. The next morning, I'm late getting to the office. Apparently, so was August because our paths cross at the City Hall entrance. We exchange grim nods, and as we make our way to the office. You know one other detail that's slipped my mind that just hasn't come back up yet?
What?
Time slippage.
Yeah.
I think we kind of chalk that up to Maddie trying to cover up what she had been, glamored into doing. But it also might be a hint that like she believes in that because she's been losing time whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, how would she get over there that quickly?
She biked.
Okay.
That's a good question. Yeah. But yeah, and
she cleans the entire place clean.
Yeah, it's worth keeping in the back of the mind, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not time slippage from her, but time slippage from us.
Maybe
that's an indication that something happened to us that morning.
Maybe.
We both come to a stop simultaneously, our gaze fixed on the same spot. It's a red envelope. Written on the front is my name and August's. It's the BS!
I see. Well, what are you waiting for? Open it.
I hurry over and pick up the letter. My hands are shaking. All of this business with the churches has just been a way to pass the time until this moment. What was the next thing the BRS wanted us to do? How did they lead Jessica and Gary to their fate, whatever that was? I tear open the envelope and read the letter aloud. Dear Cadet. We are pleased with your selection of partners, but in order to prove that you are worthy of repatriation, we need you to abandon your commitment to preserving the law. Believe your partner makes you capable of this, but we must know. Break into the Bataille First Baptist Church and steal the personal Bible of Pastor Jeremy Reese. Place it where you delivered the last response. Sincerely, the Bataille Repatriation Society. What? Wait, what? What the hell?
Such a shame. I would have much rather had a peek inside the Lucian Church. Speaking of which, I really should get around to reading their version of the Bible, I'm sure.
Enough about religion. We have our next lead. We don't have time for red herrings.
Red herrings. Oh, Erica, if this letter from the BRS means anything, it means we're on the right trail.
I admit you might be onto something, but there is another option.
Are you going to accuse me of forging this letter to justify my interest in the churches? Because I assure you that if I was going to get you to break the law, I would be far more creative than this.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I 100% buy that. No, but now that you say it out loud...
The thought had occurred to me once I realized the effect the letters have on you, but I didn't want to jeopardize our partnership.
See, he's giving the pouty lips. You're trying to earn my trust by saying you were seriously considering deceiving me?
Yes, exactly.
Let's just get inside and see if Maddie is here yet. Maybe she or even Liam saw who delivered this.
That's a good point, one I hadn't even thought of.
Bets on it being Maddie that delivered it? Because now that we haven't been spending as much time with Maddie, we don't know whether or not Julian has gotten his teeth into her, literally into her again. So, as much as I love Mads, we got to be careful. I say we got to be careful like we have any agency of the story at this point. You know what I mean. Inside the office, Maddie is leaning over a desk, poring over a box full of files. Another box is inside the jail cell, and Liam is rifling through it. Maddie, quick, was this letter here when you arrived this morning?
No, I would have picked it up and brought it in.
Did you see or hear anyone outside?
Sorry, boss, it's been as quiet as can be.
Damn it. Liam, did you... Wait, what do you have there?
Don't worry, you wanted me to go through everything in the file room, and it's a lot. None of it's in order or even organized. I just figured he could help pick out anything related to City Hall.
That is a terrible idea. Did you ever consider that he might find something useful to us and destroy it right there in the cell? Erica, take those documents away from him immediately.
I'm right here. If he destroys anything, I'll see it and stop him. Then we'll know it's important and we can try to put it back together.
What if he decides to consume the paper? Then how can we get it back? We know how far he'll go to keep us from the truth.
See, we leave Maddie alone for a single day and already she's back to making terrible decisions, which I'm sure is not her doing, but listen, I'm right here. I'm not going to eat some musty decades-old invoices or whatever else you maniacs are looking for. Everyone calm down. If you need the help, Maddie, you can use Liam. Just keep an eye on him.
Thanks, Erica.
Well, have either of you found anything on City Hall yet?
Everything I've found seems to indicate that the building was always this big, even though I know that's not true. I pass by here every day on my way to middle school.
Interesting. That is fascinating.
I would never have missed a building this tall, especially with everything so clear around it.
So, you're saying that not only did the building change when the towers rose, so did the paperwork?
Sounds like there are references to the other floors then. Any indication of what's on them?
Not at all. The only thing I've found are a few photos from the outside and receipts from cleaning services that handle the exterior.
Fascinating. That's one of those banal little details. Like, yeah, they have to have a cleaning service get up to the ledges on the top. I guess. Yeah, you do, don't you, huh? Photos from the outside, though. That's good. That's good.
From before the contingency.
You think these invoices from a company in St. Louis came after it? There's one thing that's curious that might be what you could call, well, an inconsistency.
Oh, now I'm interested.
Maddie digs through a pile of papers and pulls out one of the newer looking sheets of paper. It's still a few years old, but it isn't yellowed like some of the others.
This is an invoice for the installation of a satellite dish on the roof from Mann Brothers Electrical Solutions from 1998.
I don't see any mention of the height of the installation or anything here. What am I looking at?
Well, here's the thing. You know how I used to work with the Batailles at their resort properties up in Lake of the Ozarks? Well, when we had to change satellite TV providers, we had to change dishes. I was the one who negotiated that sort of stuff for him, so I got bids from all the local companies to do the installation work. Man Brother didn't submit a bid. They told us they didn't install on properties over 3 stories high. This building had 4 floors.
I knew this was the job for you, Madeline. See, Erica, I told you I was the right partner.
Maddie's the one who figured this out. So wait, what did we just learn?
That if they installed a satellite dish here, it couldn't have been this tall.
I see. So the paperwork did change along with it. So they
But
asked,
not that paperwork.
Well, no, that paperwork didn't say anything specifically in it. She used other knowledge that was tangentially. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes, and I gave her the job, and she was the only person who could have caught this. Amazing work, if I do say so myself. When we have time, we should talk to the mayor about this satellite dish business.
You know, I was the one who found that paper and told her it was about City Hall.
Yes, well, anyone could have done that. However, I do have a use for you. Imposter.
Faker? I think you're the fake heartbreaker around here. And you have to say, I'll make you eat those words.
I'll make you eat those words.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
I'd like to ask you about...
Hold up.
What, are you really so annoyed with my interest on this matter that you won't even let me ask the questions?
I motioned for him to step to the other side of the room and speak under my breath. If we're going to break into the church anyway, maybe we should get proof that he donated to them.
Oh?
Don't let him just straight up deny it. If we have proof, it'll force him to explain.
He may still yet lie.
That lie will be more useful than a flat denial, won't it? He chuckles a little in satisfaction.
You are being delightfully clever, Erica.
If we're going to do all of this, I want to get the most out of it that we can.
I like your thinking. We'll do as you wish and focus on the BRS letter for now. But I will return to this topic.
Fine. I like where this is going. Because I no longer have like a firm grasp on like what might happen next here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this is...
I felt like we were onto things and had cracked a bunch of mysteries. And we had, but they weren't the big mystery. They
Right.
were little mysteries
We were
along
missing the
way.
big thing right in front of us, which is like, why are these inconsistencies occurring in the first place? And there is no easy explanation for that. I don't think we're gonna come up with a way that explains everything really easily on this one. I think it's gonna have to result in something at least like somewhat magical, you know? I spend the rest of the day fulfilling my duties at City Hall. August goes home, claiming he'll spend the day reading Bibles, but we plan to meet each other at the Bataille First Baptist Church at midnight. I look for a chance to talk to Mayor Ward, but he don't see him all day. I go home to shower, eat dinner with Stacy, and take a short nap. But all too soon, it's time to meet August at the church. I find August standing in the middle of the parking lot, staring through one of the church windows. Hey, shouldn't we be a little more discreet?
It's a post-contingency rural church that's supposedly lacking in funds. We don't need to worry about security.
Even so, we should make a plan. We'll need to cover our tracks at least.
On the contrary, the more we plan, the more suspicious we look. Erica, stealing a Bible from a church is like taking candy from a baby.
So he's right about this, because as someone who worked in a bookstore for a long time, the number one most frequently stolen thing from our store, Bibles. It's so fucking common to just steal a Bible, which I know there's a level of irony to like, but like just it's if you make it look like more than that, he's right. It's just gonna be more suspicious.
The only obstacle here is your own conscience, so can you overcome it or not?
I see your point, but what if Pastor Reese is still here?
He's not. I went by his house before coming here. He's at home.
You went by his house?
Aren't you glad I checked? You're the one so worried about getting caught.
But...
But what?
I remember the look on August's eyes when we questioned Pastor Reese earlier. It was an expression almost like hunger. What bothers me is that you're not worried about security, but you went by his house anyway.
What are you going on about? I did it to reassure you, but clearly that's a lost cause.
Let's just get this over with.
You preach to the choir.
Well, aren't you going to lead the way?
The BRS letter said you must abandon your commitment to preserving the law. I abandoned the law some time ago. You're the one who must do this, Erica.
Do you think they're gonna know the difference?
Certainly.
Who do we think is placing the letters right now?
I don't know.
Do we think it's August? I don't think
so.
August wasn't there for the other ones.
Yeah.
But also, we've had reason to doubt the veracity of every single one of those letters so far. It could be that now that he's free, August is setting this up. But damn it, fine, just tell me what to do.
Might I suggest you try the front door?
Angrily, I storm to the front door. August follows behind like a shadow. The knob rattles in my grip. It's locked.
Pity. Shouldn't church doors stay open for all?
Despite his words, he doesn't sound surprised in the least.
Fortunately, I think we both know how to pick a lock.
I didn't bring the necessary tools.
I can help with that.
August produces a lockpick from somewhere in his hip pocket. I don't know whether to be relieved or disturbed. My urgency to finish this task helps me make quick work of the lock. Soon enough, August and I make our way inside. Interesting. I wonder how long he's had that lockpick hanging around for.
Could have gotten out of the cell at any time.
I was thinking about that too. I don't think that's what they're implying there, but it's really funny to me.
He just stayed there because he likes tormenting Erica.
Torment. As expected, the church is quiet and empty. We tiptoe through the chapel and make our way to the back rooms.
Oh no.
That's a different meaning in 2022, doesn't it? In the back hall, we see the door to Pastor Reese's office and I try the knob. This is locked too.
I wonder if Pastor Reese is trying to hide something.
Or he simply values his privacy and the privacy of those who confide in him.
Solvitur ambulando.
Something walks?
I don't know this one.
What does that mean?
It means the answer should become clear soon enough.
Okay. He hands me the lockpick again and I take it with a glare. We're only here to get a Bible, August.
We also have a rare opportunity to learn more about this church and its history. We've been investigating the church for the last few days, Erica. Why not use this chance to see if we can learn more?
Before I have to figure out my counter-argument, the lock clicks open. We both head inside. Pastor Reese's office is clean and organized. Now that we're here, finding his Bible is all too easy. I walk behind his desk and open the front drawer. Immediately, I find a Bible. I open the front and find his name inscribed on the first page. Found it! August is staring at the pictures on the walls and shelves. I follow his gaze. I see pictures of Pastor Reese baptizing people. Pictures of Pastor Reese standing with community members and leaders. Pastor Reese feeding a skinny child in Zimbabwe. The last one, August snorts loudly. You're disgusted by a man feeding a hungry child?
I'm disgusted by someone who would spend the people of Bataille's money just to fly to Africa and take a self-aggrandizing photograph.
Or perhaps he wanted to save people from starvation?
Tell me, Erica, how do you, a former FBI agent, still have so much faith in humanity? Did you see any other books in that drawer?
Yes, but they don't matter. We should go now, August. He makes his way to the desk and starts rooting around. Not much later, he pulls out a hardcover notebook.
The church ledger. That was a little too easy to find, don't you think?
I start to make a retort and then stop myself. What use is there in arguing with him? He already has the ledger open and is flipping through it.
Here we go. For the last several months, near the 13th, there's a regular donation of 1,000 from LB, but none for this month. The 13th was last week.
You think LB is LL Bean?
Yes, but I'm surprised I found this so quickly. Liam probably wanted to be anonymous because his family supports the Lucian Church, but Pastor Reese didn't try very hard to hide any of this.
He probably didn't expect someone to break into his office and rifle through his ledger.
Or he's hiding a deeper secret somewhere else.
Enough of this. Not everyone hides dark secrets like you do, August. A brief hint of anger flashes in August's eyes. His gaze is like steel when it meets mine, his jaws clenching tightly.
He's hiding something. I could feel it, Erica.
How often do you feel such things about people?
I'm a good judge of character, that's all.
As if to halt my line of questioning, he tosses the ledger at me.
Keep looking through that one. Focus on the older records. See if you can find any pre-contingency details that might help our investigation.
Now that I hold the ledger in my hands, my curiosity stirs. This might be my best chance to learn more of the church's history. While I study the ledger, August continues to examine other cabinets and compartments. He runs his hands around inside of every piece of furniture. Keep flipping back through the ledger week by week, month by month. It doesn't look like LB made any big donations to the Baptist church before the contingency.
Interesting. See any other familiar names, then?
August sounds distracted, but I keep looking. Soon I page through 2000, 1999, but the names and businesses on the page mean little to me.
Found it.
August slams a folder of receipts and invoices onto the table. He grins like he just discovered a treasure chest of gold.
He's a gambler.
What?
Our dear Pastor Reese has a crippling addiction. He's been gambling thousands of dollars at the Monarch Casino for the last 5 years.
I page through a few of the invoices, just enough to confirm the sense of August's claim. How is this relevant?
I was right. He's hiding a dark secret.
Okay, but I admit this isn't flattering, but it isn't criminal. I'd hardly even call it unethical if he harms no one but himself.
He's a liar, he's a fraud, and I'm sure he's not just spending his own money. He spends the hard-earned dollars of Bataille's community to feed his filthy habit.
Spent, you mean. The Monarch Casino is in St. Louis. We have no casinos in Bataille.
You plan to just ignore this.
What else do you propose? You're getting way off course, August. We're trying to track down the BRS, remember?
We're trying to find the truth, and this man should be exposed.
See, he's got that thing going where he's more focused on solving the puzzle than he is, like, focusing on the direction of the investigation. August and I both freeze, only twisting our heads ever so slightly towards the sound of a door closing. Was that?
Someone's here.
Who would possibly come here in the middle of the night?
Probably only the pastor himself.
Shit. August motions for me to lower my voice. Footsteps grow louder in the hallway. Frantically, I move to hide behind a large bookshelf. August positions himself next to the door, while he'll be obscured once it opens. August's gaze remains fixed on the door. My own eyes stay fixed on August. I realized I'm not just anxious about the pastor discovering us, I'm anxious about how August will react. I see August reaching into the back waistline of his pants. He seems to pull something out slowly. The door opens. Pastor Reese steps inside. The next few seconds pass in a blurred frenzy. August slips behind Pastor Reese with his arm raised. Without thinking, I cry out, "No!" Pastor Reese looks my direction, startled. I can only hope the shadows and cabinets still obscure me from his view. I hear a bony impact, and then watch Pastor Reese crumple to the floor in a heap. My gun is in my hands, pointed at August. Before I realize what I've done, I see a knife in his hands at the same time. "Drop it!"
Oh, this...
He moves slowly, setting the knife on a nearby chair.
Why are you pointing a gun at me?
What did you do to Pastor Reese?
What does it look like? I knocked him out.
I never agreed to use violence.
I improvised. Now, if you would, drop your own weapon. I strongly dislike staring down the barrel of a gun.
I really thought he was about to just straight up murder someone again. I hesitate, glancing again at the knife, then the fallen body of Jeremy Reese. What will you do next? August stares at me long and hard, his eyes growing sharper with each passing second.
Why are you treating me like this?
Because for a little while I forgot who you were, and then Charlotte reminded me.
What?
I saw the look on your face after we questioned Pastor Reese. And then when we confirmed the gambling problem, you were overjoyed. Do you kill people to expose their dark secrets? Is that why you wrote a letter to the police about Blanchard?
You understand nothing.
He moves towards me, rigid with fury, and I tighten my grip on my gun but don't back away, determined to stand firm.
What the fuck did Charlotte say to you?
Don't change the subject. You are the person of interest right now. Do you want to kill Jeremy Reese? His head hangs. Takes a long, shuddering breath. I think he must be on the verge of admitting something important. And then I feel a sharp pain against the edge of my wrists. My gun goes flying out of my hands and bounces against the bookcase before falling to the floor with a heavy thud. August moves around me, turning my arm with him. I wince as he twists my wrist into a painful angle. His voice tickles my ear as he talks.
Please, don't struggle. I don't want to hurt you.
Then let me go.
Will you stop waving your gun in my face?
Fuck it. Let's just go along with it.
Agree
What's the worst that could
Right?
happen?
All right. For now, I'll put it back in its holster.
For now.
Until you do something else stupid.
Not good enough. If we're going to be partners, Erica, I need you to treat me like one.
Is this how you treat your partners? I can't promise to holster it indefinitely. I wouldn't promise that to anyone.
You do like your gun, don't you? Fine. For now, I'll just take the bullets out so we can have a civilized conversation as adults. Agreed?
Agreed. But I'll get the bullets back, right? I have a limited supply.
Eventually.
He pushes me away, firmly enough to force me a few feet from the gun. Then he stoops down to retrieve it. Seeing him hold my gun, my stomach twists into a knot. But he sticks to our agreement, then empties the cartridge, then hands it back.
Now then, where were we? You said Charlotte reminded you who I was. What did you mean by that?
She came to the precinct a couple days ago. She wanted to know more about your crimes as the Heartbreaker.
Why on earth would she ask about that? Do they want to frame me again?
I wondered the same thing, but I can't imagine they can do that again and get away with it, so I answered some of her questions.
So, you relived the Heartbreaker's crimes by explaining them in detail to Charlotte. Is that why you've been so anxious around me lately? You said that this was a couple days ago, so it was shortly after you chose me as your partner.
Yes, it was after we talked to Pastor Kimberly at the Lucian Church. I assumed that's how she knew we were working together. August rubs his chin for a moment, deep in thought.
What aspect of the Heartbreaker was she most interested in?
She wanted to know anything I could tell her, but in the end she seemed most interested in how it was you got caught. She thought your weakness was that you wanted to expose Blanchard for his crimes. She thought that was your motivation.
So Charlotte planted this fucking idea in your head. Then somehow we ended up in Pastor Reese's office.
What are you thinking? He turns around suddenly. He storms across the room and retrieves his knife and the Bible, then starts for the door. August, where are you going?
We got the Bible. Now I have something else to investigate. I'll deliver the Bible to the drop-off point. Just let me know when the next letter arrives, yes?
But, Pastor Jeremy...
As I said, he'll be fine.
You're not going to... August glares down at Jeremy Reese with something akin to disgust. So Charlotte was trying to bait him into... I bet Charlotte told Jeremy to come there at this time of night and leaving that information where he would find it.
Trying to get August to kill again.
Yep.
I assure you, Pastor Reese no longer holds my attention in the slightest.
And just like that, August vanishes. Damn, shit's getting good. Oh, I'm liking this. I like that it keeps throwing things at me that I don't expect in this one. This is really, really cool. Oh man. So we're taking it pretty much at face value now that he was indeed the serial killer he's claimed to be. But whether or not... And the thing is, I've seen nothing else in this game to kind of back up that, the vampire killer angle.
Mm-hmm.
Despite how well that would have fit.
Wouldn't it be cool?
And the thing is, Jeremy the pastor there didn't seem to be a vampire.
Yeah.
That did just seem to be a genuine desire to kill someone for some perceived wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
I spend the part of the night afraid, worried that August might come for me. And then the more I think about what happened at the church, the more I start to worry about someone else. August assured me he wasn't interested in Pastor Reese, but I can't help but think that might be a lie. He lied to me about being the Heartbreaker, and I'm still starting to suspect he lied about his interest in the church. Why would he suddenly tell the truth now? Early in the morning, I head back to the church to check on the pastor and the situation in general. At first, I'm terrified that something awful has already happened. I knock incessantly on the door, and no one answers for a full minute. But then at last, the door's open, and Pastor Reese looks out at me, nursing his head.
Sheriff, I was just about to send someone to go find you.
I hold my breath, waiting for him to confirm or deny that he saw me in the church that night.
I was attacked right here in my church.
I exhale. Really? I received a report of a disturbance here a few hours ago. I was asleep, so I didn't hear about it until just before I left. Did they take anything? I can start questioning a few folks who have been caught in similar circumstances. More importantly, though, are you all right?
I don't know. I don't really understand it. Nothing seems to be missing. Whoever did this must have just wanted to knock me over my head.
Nothing seems to be missing. He doesn't even look at his Bible.
Either that or the Bible was put back.
Wait, nothing's missing?
Everything looks ransacked, that's for sure, but nothing valuable was taken.
For just a moment, I think I understand a bit of the anger August felt towards Pastor Reese, knowing how much money he was getting from people of Bataille for what he preaches. It's rather distressing to realize he hasn't even noticed his Bible is missing. Do you have any idea who might want to do this to you? Do you have any enemies in Bataille? I realize that's a strange thing to ask a pastor, but I have to cover my bases.
Oh, I have a good idea that it was one of those blasphemous fools over at what used to be United Methodist. They're here to cause trouble, Sheriff, and I think they've just escalated their sinner's game.
Is there anything else you can tell me?
I know there were two of them, a man and a woman.
Oh.
I heard a woman shout, then felt the man hit me from behind.
How do you know it was a man?
Well, of course it was. He took me down with one blow.
I feel the seething feeling creep back into my mind. I hold back. I don't want to raise my voice and remind him of the woman he heard in his office last night. This might sound a little strange, but I have the gut feeling that whoever did this might come back and try to hurt you again.
That doesn't sound strange at all. Of course they would. This is surely some step in a concerted effort to harass and frighten me.
I'm going to have my deputy come over and keep you safe.
That awful man you brought over yesterday,
No, he's not my deputy. He's just consulting me. I'm talking about Madeline Gray. You can trust her, too.
Her? You really ought to have a better mind about who you associate with, young woman.
What's your problem with Maddie?
Well,
Wait, no, I probably don't want to hear you say it.
I just wish our sheriff was a bit more in line with the rest of this town, that's all. I suppose it's no wonder that there are random hooligans running around and playing pranks on me.
Part of me wants to tell him precisely what we took just to see his reaction, but I know it's meaningless. Still, I can't let it go. I have to do something, even if it is risky. I'm done here. Give me a call when you notice something missing. So I'm leaving. I'm realizing something August might do. An intentional slip of the tongue that I know won't be my downfall, because the only person who hears it is too short-sighted to understand the meaning.
Wait, what was this slip of the tongue?
Let me know when you notice something missing. The very assured, like there is something missing. Let me know as soon as you notice. And with that, I think we're going to bring this episode to a close.
Alrighty.
Join us next time for more crime adventures. Crime ventures?
Crime time.
Crime time! I can't wait for more crimes. Bible crimes, starting now.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.